can't believe we're coming to the end of the season.
Are you crying?
No. My eye is weeping, you know this.
The final episode!
Of season 2.
We got it!
That's an aggressive start. People will be taking off their headphones.
People are like, oh my god. Need a warning for that.
All jokes aside, this is the final episode of season 2. And we're very excited, kind of sad.
Yeah.
My eye is already streaming today, but if it looks like I'm crying, maybe I am.
Maybe you're just tired. Never worked. 2.
But for this special occasion, we've got 2 guests with us. Do you want to introduce yourselves? We've got Catherine and Aram. Catherine, you're a buyer at Metalan.
Yes.
And we're feeling very lucky to have you here today because you're also recently named 30 under 30 by Drapers, which is
That's right, yeah.
a huge achievement, so congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? Are you buzzing with that news?
It's really exciting. Just to kind of get that recognition. Excitingly, I was the only buyer on the list as well, so that's really good. I think Molly-Mae was on the list as well. So I'm in good company.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good Manchester company.
Exactly, yeah, representing the north.
Wow. Yeah, we love that. I love a little bit of northern representation. And Aram, you are second year chemical engineering, right?
Yeah, second year chemical engineering student. I'm also president of the 93% Club, and I just do different bits and bobs around uni. Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk about some of
I love
those
how
things.
different bits and bobs are actually like really
key
responsibilities.
Bits and bobs is what you're saying now, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to just start at the top?
Let's just go for it.
So I think if we are honest, we want to know like how both of you got into the areas that you're in. And when we met for coffee before, Aram, you said something that really I've just like been thinking about since you said it. And it was that a lot of people think the jump from GCSE to A-level is a really big step. But you said to Alice and I, you really felt that was actually going to uni because there's so much more to consider. What do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like your journey?
Yeah, I feel like everyone, at least in my college, they'd be like, oh, like all uni students say first year is so much easier than like year 13, like A-levels is so much harder, or like, you know, the jump between GCSEs and A-levels is so much more different. But I found that because like, at least my experience, even though I went to a college, not a sixth form, so I guess that's different from a lot of people and how they would kind of like go to school, it still just felt like I am just at school, like you know, the classrooms, you know, 30 plus people, your overworked teachers that kind of just like you're in there, you're being taught, it's kind of like very much handheld, and then you sit your exams and that's it, you're done. But at uni it is so much more to consider. I mean, also just like on a personal level, because I feel like that's when a lot of people you know, try and like come into themselves, find out who they are. A lot of people move out. I personally didn't, but you know, trying to balance those responsibilities, and then also the workload itself as an engineering student is like insane. Like it does not match anything I'd ever done before.
Yeah, and it's a double whammy. And you'll have found this as well, Catherine, with going into fashion at uni. Engineering has in common that that's not a discipline you study at A-level, right? So you're kind of going to uni and you've got a whole new discipline to get to grips with. You're in a different environment. There's a different teaching style. Yeah, it can be a lot, I think, because you're kind of navigating a new world almost. I don't know if that sounds a bit dramatic, but
it is.
Did you find there was anything in particular which has been really helpful for you with that adjustment? I remember for me, I just became really good friends with my personal tutor. And she did handhold with things. Like when I was struggling with stuff, she'd be the one to like take me a step back and say, just stop stressing out. You're 3 weeks in. Like, this is cool. And she kept doing that throughout the whole of my degree. Was there anything for you which was really transformative and helping you feel like you had a bit of support?
Honestly, not really, especially first year, just like my entire life of like you just sort it out yourself, you do it yourself. Like even in school, like even if you're a high achiever, it's like okay, you're on your own, your teacher's got to focus on someone else. So coming into uni, it's like I was like, okay, well, I need to deal with it myself. I need to sort of,
Oh, alright.
you know, struggle like on your own, and then like everyone else is fine. It's just you who's. And I remember actually my first lab report that I had to submit, I actually had an operation like on the same day, and I had to like prep the day before that. But to my head, I still didn't want to apply for mitigating circumstances to get like an extension for the lab report, because I was like, I should be able to just do this. And I was like, I was literally in the hospital room like doing my lab report. And then like after, I was like, okay, I'm being stupid. Let me just apply for mitigating circumstances. So I think it was, I guess, being pushed to my limit quite literally that made me force myself, you know, to seek out the support that's available at university. In terms of like staff
I'm
and
thinking
stuff.
that you're the eldest sibling. In
I
the
am
family.
the eldest
This is
sibling.
very
Yeah.
eldest sibling.
Yeah.
Not being able to say when you just need recognition or support or help.
Trying to keep everything afloat.
Yeah,
like,
it is. That's very much how it was. But then I think in terms of support, I didn't like really reach out much at uni, at least first year. It was more like my friends. So just getting to know different people, I guess like similar demographics as me, and like realizing, oh, they're actually struggling like just the same. And, you know, uni is just like a struggle that way. It's kind of helped. But I think second year I've definitely become more open to seeking out university support, which has been helpful. But, yeah.
that's really good. It sounds like a positive change, but I do get what that because you're state school educated, right? Same, and the the classrooms were chaotic sometimes, to say the least, and so I had friends who were privately educated, and it's almost like they have that inclination to ask for help.
Absolutely,
they know that the teacher can give that time, whereas at state school it's just not really.
It's something you have to learn how to ask for help. It's not inbuilt for everyone. And when I was saying like, oh, you're giving older sibling energy, it's a cliche for a reason. I feel like there's this sense of like you should be the one like not providing, but like you should be carrying the struggle on your back and just dealing with it. And I think that in state as well, like if you're like always asking for help, it's not seen as like, especially before sixth form, it wasn't like a cool thing to do either. So you're not just going to be in class like
it's not cool, and they also just don't have the time when there's so many other children like in the class, or if something's like kicking off, which it usually was.
You would be like seen as a pest. Like you'd feel it from the teachers eventually at some point. Like, why do you constantly like? Why can't you just do this? And then a lot of people get shut down because of that. And again, if you are considered one of the high achievers, which is a lot of people like state schoolers that end up at university, it's kind of like, okay, you know what to do. Like you'll sort yourself out. I've got to deal with the rest of the class who don't know what to do. And that's just the expectation that's set for you. And then you kind of just like carry that out. And then again, with the elder sister, like in your family, you're the one who's expected to sort of just deal with everything, help with everything, and just be able to manage. So yeah, it was definitely instilled in me. And it's still like kind of something that I'm working on. Like it's okay to ask for help. And like whenever I meet people who are so like willing to ask for help and constantly being like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm just thinking to myself, this could be like a Google search. Yeah. So then like, it's definitely like, I need to check myself being like, actually, no, like they're seeking out, you know, human connection, whatever. Like it's okay. It's normal. And I can do that too. So yeah, it is definitely a learning curve, I guess.
Yeah, that's a lot being like the eldest sister. I can't relate personally. As a middle child.
I'm an older sister. But
I am also.
Are you?
Are you?
Oh my gosh.
How many siblings do you have?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah, little sister.
Same.
So, yeah, I can relate to a lot of those points.
Yeah. Feeling the need to kind of like lead the family, keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
Keep everyone... My eldest sister almost feels like my third parent in a way.
But you have so many siblings as well.
True.
Like, how many of you is there?
4. Well, there's 5 of us. I've got 4 sisters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she is almost like she
has her own like litter.
She's leader of the pack.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I kind of like being an older sibling. It does come with other things. Like I think the stereotypes, I guess, sometimes for reasons, sometimes they're wrong. sometimes you can find truth in them. I kind of like it. I love I love my relationship with my sister. I love that I've been able to help with certain things that maybe I wanted help with when I was going through the same things as her.
I think friends are like an absolutely they're such a stabling, grounding thing to have at uni. Like, I don't know, I only had like 2 friends at uni in the first like 2 years, but oh my god, if I didn't have like that person also going through it with me, it would be really difficult.
But yeah, that's the thing though with that transition, is at uni there are so many people from so many parts of the country, so many backgrounds, people that are maybe commuting like you, Aram, or not, and it's just kind of nice that you have this opportunity to meet people that are in like almost exactly your position,
Yeah.
which you don't necessarily have at school as well. Yeah, was there anything for you, Catherine, that you'd say is like one of the biggest transitions you've gone through so far?
Yeah, I think obviously transitioning from uni to your first job is such a big jump. And I think that's sort of that moving into that 9 to 5 mentality. I think for the first probably the first 12 months of my job, I was exhausted every day because you just can't get used to that that routine and that structure. So I'd probably say that was difficult to transition into, and also the kind of thought process of, and I know I've got friends who struggled with this as well, you don't have like an end point, and you've gone through your whole education going, right, I'll do this for 2 years and then I'll get this qualification and I'll move on to the next thing, and then I do this for 2 years and I get the qualification, and the degree feels the same way. And then when you come out of uni and you go into your first job, you sort of think, in a nice way, you have got the control over it a bit more, but you've also got
untethered.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, what? It's kind of up to me now.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone else, anyone pushing me specifically. Obviously, you have managers at work and things, but it's really up to you what you take with the opportunity and what you do with it.
Well, that was a really good point.
It's really intimidating because you almost have like those, what are they called in video games, where you like get to that level and then it saves your progress. Checkpoint.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have those checkpoints.
Exactly.
And then you leave uni and it's like, oh my god, I self-determine the checkpoints.
Yes.
And like, that's really difficult.
Yeah.
That is so true. And that idea of, I don't know, progress always looking a certain way when you're in education is so true. And you can feel a bit unprepared for the world of work when you get out of the system of education, and suddenly it feels like you are on your own. It can be freeing, and some people probably really embrace it.
Yeah.
And other people think, wait, what now?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be doing next?
It can also be quite difficult. Obviously, it's different with different industries and things, but with kind of not having that person going, well done, you're doing a great job all the time.
Yeah.
You're kind of getting used to going, I've got to really back myself here and be a bit of a self-starter and have the determination and know that I'm not going to get a pat on the back every single time I do something that's good.
I
might get it every 5 times, but
I so think
that is such a good point. That was really difficult when I started because like I didn't, maybe this is the middle child. I like feed on praise, like words of affirmation, girly. I'd like need to be told I'm doing a good job. So when you get into like the world of work and that doesn't happen like every day, it's like, oh my god, I'm failing, I'm doing awful. But really that's just like, you just got to back yourself.
Yeah.
And be like, I know I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also there can be some parts of your job that you're really good at.
Yeah.
And there can be other parts that you just have to do because it's part of the job.
Yeah.
And sometimes getting yourself through those bits can make it, you can hyper focus on those maybe and be like, oh gosh, maybe I'm not going to be as good at this as I thought.
Yeah, exactly,
But then your skill sets aren't a straight line. So you might be like absolutely brilliant in other ways and in that sense doing fantastically at your job. But you still have to kind of like drag yourself through everything until you can kind of shape your career a bit.
I was like the other day, because we have a window at Grantees that Jasmine, we've got an advertisement in Grantees, which is the cafe down the road. Jasmine did the artwork for the window.
Yes, I did the mural.
And at the end of the day, we were leaving and you were really deflated. I was like, what's wrong? And you were like, well, none of the staff had said they liked it.
Yes, on the first
and
day.
so I don't feel like it's good.
Yeah.
Well, I did. And really invalidated.
Well, I went back the next day with my paints because I realised it was mostly like bare outlines, and on the window you kind of need it to pop a bit more.
Yeah.
But
even if you hadn't gone back
with art, like as a child, that was my thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I've maybe grew up with being praised for that thing, even if it was rubbish at everything else at school. It was always like, oh, you can draw, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just do that. But yeah, when you don't get validated for the thing you think you're good at, it can take a bit of a effect. And then the next day, it was really nice because they all came and stood outside with me, and I was like, right, I'm done now. They were all like, this is great, and I'm standing there with the arms crossed and swapping Instagrams. And then I was like, okay, job done. I can leave. But yeah, sometimes you do need that validation. I think as well.
But I think you need self-validation as well, and you have you do have that. But I think in that moment you didn't have it, and you.
I don't know though. Like, is it something you have or you don't, or is it just?
I think sometimes you have to force it.
Peaks and troughs.
Probably peaks and troughs.
Yeah,
but I do think you've got to kind of like almost fake it until you make it as well, because otherwise, like we've got really low self-esteem. Like it's really hard to.
Yeah, what do we think about fake it till you make it? Is that something that a philosophy that
I
we've all
do
tried?
think that is a good philosophy.
I live by that. Because I'm neurodivergent, so it's like everything I do feels like fake it till you make it. How I see it is like you're adding a role, like a rapper, I guess, to kind of help you succeed in whatever role it is. Like, for example, I did like an interview. And the person interviewing was like, oh, you did such a great job in interviewing. Like, could you give me tips? And I was like, honestly, like, I just pretend like I don't feel like me. Like, I don't come in as like, oh, this is Aram. This is Aram who's professional and is a great interviewee and she's super talkative and like, that's how I kind of think of it. So it's kind of like I give myself like a role, like an actor's role description.
Yeah.
I do something similar to you, Aram. Like, I try and just pull out the side of myself that's more confident, and it's like a character of myself that I play rather than the introvert dying inside. It's just like putting on like the most like on display version of yourself, and it feels a bit like a front where like you're protected inside. But yeah, I don't know, sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. I think maybe I'm on like if like peaks and troughs, if sometimes I'm more able to do that than others. Sometimes
same.
It's
I
harder.
think that's everyone. Yeah. I mean, I really praise people who are confident all the time. Like, you go.
Yeah.
I can't
that's
relate.
what I'm aiming for.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you believe in fake it till you make it?
Yeah, I do, but I feel like you kind of have a bit of your kind of magic power is knowledge and passion. And I feel like they're the two things that have really like been underlining whenever I've done something that I've been nervous about. So for example, when I'm presenting ranges to management or CEO level, which obviously could be extremely daunting, you've just got to think, I actually know more about this specific range than this person does, and all I'm doing is telling them about it. So making sure you have that knowledge that actually can be like your kind of ultimate power to it, and also the passion, and that's something again that I feel like I see time and time again is the people who do well and shine through have got so much passion about whatever it is that they're doing or whatever it is they're talking about, and that really shows, and people kind of bounce off that as well. It's the energy that gives across. So I feel like they're kind of like the two things. If you just kind of keep in mind that, look, I'm really passionate about this, and I'm not so sure about this and this, and I'm nervous about going into public and interviewing people, but I'm so passionate about it that actually that takes over everything else.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I think as well, on top of that, it depends as well what your strengths are. Like sometimes it's identifying, and you can learn different things on your journey, but it's identifying where your strengths lie and doing what you can to facilitate emphasizing those or using those as your kind of like, not crutch, but something like that.
I do think, like you said, it's not pretending to be someone else, but it is almost stepping into the role, a role that you possess and you know you can do, but sometimes you've got to pep talk yourself a little bit into doing it.
I remember when we previously met up, Aram, you described first year as something like, I don't want to butcher your words, but you said something like, in first year it was about getting in the water, and in second year it was about learning how to swim. I loved.
And then
I
you said
love that.
second year is learning not to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. We both came away like, wow.
I don't remember saying that, but
Just casually dropping wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't know, because everything I do, like, it's for me, because I mean, maybe like it helps with like the analytical, but I like to have like a metaphor, and then that's always how I've like to remember things. But I guess, yeah, I mean, when first year it was very much like, I don't know, like you're by the side, you're looking at the pool, and then someone just pushes you in, and you know, like you're in year 4, and you're kind of like, your teacher's just like, get in,
Yeah.
and then you just like do it again, like literally feels like
Survival
year 4
mode.
again, literally, yeah. Yeah, so it definitely was just like, just trying to like flow, like, I don't know, maybe do the star, you know?
Yeah. You kind of tread water.
Literally, yeah,
like,
just
saying
trying to
that.
like kind of figure everything out at the same time, but then also like your degree is still happening. It's like no one waits for you at uni. It's like you just gotta, if the module's gone, the module's gone. If the exam's coming up, it's coming up. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you can get like extensions or, you know, extra time or whatever, but there's only so much, you know, that they can give you. Like the degree's got to go on. So it is very
Sure.
much like, it feels like you're just trying to like float and not drown.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, second year, definitely it is like, I feel like more like, again, it's like learning how to swim. Like you can tread the water, you can go back and forth, maybe do a couple of laps. You know, it feels a bit exhausting. Like you might have to stop after, you know, 1 or 2 and then like catch your breath. But it is like, I think as you learn like your working style as well and your learning style and how to kind of do different things, I think in second year, even though the workload is way more, I've been able to also do a lot more outside of my degree, things that I'm passionate about, like the 93% Club. Despite not having, like, even though I had more time first year, because I know what to do, kind of like I know how to swim ish.
Yeah.
I can kind of do more. But and then hopefully third year will feel like, I don't know, Michael Phelps. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gold medals.
Maybe. Yeah. Hopefully. But that's definitely, it is how it felt.
Yeah.
And it is just like getting more experience, I guess, like with life, whenever you get more experience with different things, you just feel more comfortable with it. So, yeah.
How are you finding chemical engineering year 2?
It's been, I mean, like we're at the end pretty much because we're doing design project. Yeah. So just a few more exams left, I guess. It's tough. Like it's really tough. It's so hard. Engineering is so hard.
You knew this. You knew it would be hard.
I actually didn't know, but like, I knew people say it's hard, but like it's hard.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's not just me because I keep like thinking, oh, maybe it's not just me, but it's not. It genuinely isn't. It's everyone feels the same way, and a lot of people just feel like they're kind of, again, just like just floating, and they're trying to just like not drown. But I think I have enjoyed kind of all the concepts coming together like slowly, but surely, and it does build up a lot of your resilience, your problem solving, your a lot of those like soft skills, that, because like a lot of people just focus on the hard skills, like, okay, yeah, sure, you can do an equation, but have you built up the resilience to actually finish off the question?
Equally as important.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I'm enjoying about the degree, just really building up those skills, but it is definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Talking of those skills, I really didn't know that element you were talking about earlier when you said you were doing design at the moment. You said there was like a layer to it where you had to check it was kind of like viable in industry. Like, can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course, because like when, you know, you're designing a process or, you know, designing a unit operations, like a distillation column or whatever it might be, you've got to really like, it can possibly, like in the real world, it's not just going to be about making it the best possible. It's like you could do the mathematical equations to get theoretically the best, like purity 100%, but that, like when you put that into the real world, that might cost millions. And you know, a company is not going to be like, okay, well, this costs like what, 5 million, like we don't have that money.
Nice
to
solution.
literally to make like 100% purity or whatever it might be. So you've got to like kind of balance it out. So it's got to be a really good process that like kind of meets the needs and or the requirements that you want. But then it's also got to be cheap enough, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's got to be cost effective. So a lot of it comes down to like optimization. So optimizing it using graphs, kind of finding the intersection between how much it costs and actually having a good process, which makes, you know, a lot of things. And so it is very much like one thing we learned in optimization this year was like, you're never going to have the best solution, like the best solution that you could theoretically have. Like that's not what's going to be in the real world. In the real world, it has to be good enough.
Yeah.
So that
sounds like something you could relate to as a buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, as we were talking about earlier with sort of the science around fabrics and things, and that's something that was really key that I learnt about at my degree at Manchester, was about the science of fabrics and how that can impact, like you said, about cost and how that impacts profit and what's the best solution, you know. I mean, I work for a value retailer, so with the best will in the world, I'm never going to be able to have 100% wool jumpers or 100% you know, cashmere or things like that. So it's finding the best solution to bring, in my case, the best quality to the range, and kind of working the best ways around it in terms of looking at it from a fabric point of view, fabric weights, fabric compositions, the kind of really that nitty gritty of the fabrics, and working with the suppliers directly to kind of get the best option. And obviously then that builds out into how the garment itself looks, for example. So yeah, I mean, it's good to kind of contextualize some of the stuff that you do learn in a theoretical world at uni, and actually how does that work in the real world, and how can you transfer it over?
Yeah. I loved hearing what you said before about all of that science of textiles and fabric that you were doing at uni is actually a bit of a USP now. Gives you said something like bargaining power.
With
Exactly.
suppliers.
I
you've got that
negotiating. Because you know, at the end of the day, the suppliers are they're there to make money and to make a profit as well. And they're never gonna give you the cheapest solution unless you ask for it. So I think it's always good to kind of have that that kind of backup of all of that, again, like I said earlier, about having the knowledge, having that backup of going, well, I know if I change this to this, or if I use a lighter weight fabric, or I know this will probably work if we change it to this, that will help you get the best price possible. So I think that's good to kind of have that in your armour.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I was expecting you to have amazing business insight from a fashion side as a buyer. You said earlier that you do some of the design side as well. I really wasn't expecting that. That's crazy, kind of like end to end that you're overseeing and managing.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's what really appealed to me as a buyer role, is that you genuinely you are involved in every single aspect of an end-to-end process of bringing a product range to life. So right from that design concept point of view, and you know, working with or without designers to kind of look at trend forecasting, what's in the market. I mean, to be honest with you, there's a science to that as well. You know, we do a lot of benchmarking and data around, you know, how many options have people got of certain things, what's the biggest style, what's the biggest shape, what's the biggest colour, and all of that kind of comes down to numbers really, and that's you know, you can't argue with the numbers. And kind of so taking all of that and creating a commercially viable range that can be costed in, that looks amazing, brings real value and quality to the customer, bringing that through to, you know, with working with your suppliers and kind of bringing that to life, and then bringing it into the stores, and that full end-to-end process, and then at the point that it's in the store, trading it. So looking at your numbers, sales figures, working with your merchandisers. How do you react to it? What do you do about it? So that is what really appealed to me about buying generally, was that you get all of that lovely creative and exciting bit with product, and you get that kind of business and analytical side as well, which kind of appeals to sort of both sides of your brain. Which is really fun.
No wonder you like Drapers 30 under 30. You've got passion and knowledge in this area, and it shows. It really, you're like, even when you're talking about it, you're smiling like so brightly. It's like you clearly love what you do.
Yeah,
I think we should talk about that.
You love what you do, but you did say that it's really, really hard work.
Yes,
and that is the fashion industry.
Yeah, I think that you know, it is difficult. It is hard work. But, you know, not to sound sort of cheesy, but you don't get anywhere. What doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. And that I kind of feel like that always resonates with me, that, you know, you're not going to get anywhere by doing nothing, and you have to have that real drive and determination to get to where you want to be. So kind of having that clear view.
You had that in spades at uni. Can you tell us how you got your internship?
So as I was saying to you earlier, I used LinkedIn a lot when I was at uni, and I think that's something that I don't know whether it's maybe just more a fashion thing, or whether there's probably other industries that crosses over into.
Because internships and getting that work experience is really prominent in fashion, isn't it?
Yeah. So I would literally message like every buyer I could find on LinkedIn and ask them, please, could I just have like a week's work experience? I really want to get into buying, and I just want to see what it would be like to work at this company. And, you know, sometimes people didn't reply, or they would say no, but the ones that did reply and said was really amazing. And I think that is what helped me stand out and actually get my first job in fashion, which again is something that we were talking about with careers fairs at the university, that I met with some of the trainees that worked at Next at the time at one of these careers fairs, and got a work experience placement from that, which then led to me getting my first job out of uni. So that was so invaluable, and actually could have taken a whole different path if I hadn't have gone, which is really weird to think about.
That's the pro of like getting out of bed, even if an event is early and you're like worried about going.
Listen up, uni student.
Yeah.
Get out of bed.
I used to feel like that at uni. I'd be like, oh my god, am I a loser if I go to this extracurricular club? And it's like, oh my god, just go.
Yeah.
Like, it's invaluable.
You said that with that Drapers 30 under 30 list, you remember finding people on the Drapers list that were buyers and going back and looking at what they'd done to get there. Like, talk about reaching a goal.
Yeah.
That's just so...
That was like a checkpoint
really
you set for yourself.
Yeah. It was
that word.
I was really inspired by other buyers in the industry, and I would look, like I said to you earlier at university, I would look on Drapers, and for anyone that doesn't know, Drapers is like a fashion retail publication.
Maybe we should have said that sooner.
Yeah. So it's a UK fashion publication. It's all about like the business fashion businesses, the movers in the industry, who's who in the industry, what's happening with all of these businesses. So it's a really fantastic sort of resource to find out what's going on. And every year they run the 30 under 30 list. And at university I found out about it, and I was really inspired by the buyers who would be on that list, and I would have a look at how they got there, what did they do, where did they work, what was their journey from university upwards, and that was really, really inspiring. And again,
we can see that.
Well
done.
Again, then to get on to that list myself was great. And again, because I knew about it from the age of 18, 19, it was something that I kind of had like bubbling under, going, what can I do to get to that point? And obviously it's only once a year thing, so, and you only have until you're 30. So there's a little time pressure.
Why are all of those lists like under 30? That's so weird.
I know.
It's kind of annoying. It gives you like a timer.
It does, but it's inspiring, I think.
Yeah.
It gave you a goal and a time to achieve it.
Exactly.
And there are other goals after that.
Yeah.
And maybe there'll be a Drapers 40 under 40.
Yeah, maybe. Or like an over 60.
Yeah.
That would be so nice.
Yeah, I think it's quite nice though for like early career as a something to aspire to.
Yeah.
Your early career can be really daunting.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's really impressive.
Yeah. It can feel a long way away when you start out as well, and you think, how am I ever going to get to this point where I'm, buying my own range? And you'd see all these people that were doing it, and you'd be like, how did you get there? But I mean, like we were saying, it's all hard work, and not to sound cliche, but it is. You do have to work hard to get to that point, and just take all the opportunities you're given. Yeah.
You're both doing really well at reaching goals, because we wanted to talk about your chemical engineering, and it's amazing that you're like enjoying that course, and you were saying about now you're swimming, right? And that's an achievement in itself, but you're also part of the 93% club, and that's actually where I first saw your name because it came up that you'd hosted at an event in Manchester. Is that right?
The roadshow?
The roadshow, yeah. So the National Club, they do this roadshow every year, and they kind of go around to some of the big cities in the UK and kind of give the 93% Club committee in that city a chance to kind of host and, be up there and like show themselves pretty much. So I got to host the panelists. It was mainly like marketing people actually for Manchester's roadshow. So they had like a lot of marketing professionals. They had is it CMO? Or something. He had like a chief something officer.
Okay.
So like some big people, and like people who had like I guess taken like different directions within their career and how they've managed that as a state schooler. So it was quite daunting because it was like in front of like a whole bunch of people, and you kind of had to like remember the questions from the top of your head.
Yeah.
So like, but again, like I kind of just like. So like this is a play and I'm an actress and I am because I used to do drama at school, so that's probably why I love using that as like my clutch, I guess. So I was like, okay, like I'm like on stage and I'm presenting these panelists. And it went really well, and they got to share a lot of their experiences, and then afterwards there's like a networking bit, so you get to network with all the people that attend, and it's a mix of like professionals like within Manchester, which is really nice, and different students. So we had like students from Nottingham, like Birmingham, there was a student from Oxford, so like it was really nice to kind of get everyone's LinkedIn's. Yeah.
Do you find that you meet so many people through? Is it a society or is it a
So
club?
with 93% Club, it's a national club, like national charity, and then there's the societies within the universities. So we've got a society in Manchester, and we kind of run the show in Manchester, for UOM students, and then there's like in all the other universities, there's different societies, and again they kind of do their own thing as well. But then we all kind of report to the national charity, who started off again as a society. So it was started off as a society in Bristol, by our founder Sophie Pender, and then after that kind of just like blown up since then, because a lot of people like especially state schools at university, they feel alone, they feel like they don't have the support, they can't get a network that private school kids would otherwise have. So it really is a great initiative, and I'm quite passionate about that sort of social mobility side of things. But yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Wow.
And you're not an official rep, you're like an acting rep at the uni as well. Like
just like a little side quest.
Because I'm part of the society, I get to voice a lot of people's issues in chemical engineering, and their concerns and their feedback, and that's really nice because that's gotten me to talk to some important people in engineering within our faculty, and then really try and get change to actually come about, because I feel like when you have an official role, the thing is with official roles, not to like downplay them, but sometimes because it's like you're put in a box, so the student reps, they have a meeting, you can only talk about your issues in this meeting, and they're making notes. But when I'm kind of like informal and I'm talking to the vice dean kind of like on the side, like, hey, by the way, this is how it actually is, literally, then it's more like I guess you get to the top people faster instead of having those barriers of lecturer, and then the lecturer will go to the dean and then talk to them, like so it is kind of nice to get to represent that way. But
you're doing so well.
Thank you.
You are.
I feel
for
like
second year as well.
Yeah, you're in second year and you're doing so much. Like you've got your finger in so many pies, man.
I was still treading water in
second year. I was actually gonna say, just to wrap up, because we've been given the time. Corey's given us the 0 minutes. Maybe we should give like one piece of advice for learning how to swim.
Oh,
what do you think? Good. Should we do that? I'm inspired by our conversations today. Should we do that?
Yeah.
Does everyone think they can come up with a piece of advice?
I know, I'm trying to think of something.
You go first.
I think, and I'm not talking literally, by the way, like literally learning how to swim. I think mine would be know your strengths, lean into your strengths, embrace them, don't minimize yourself, because I don't know, maybe it's not what people want you to be. Don't minimize what your strengths are. Just be loud about them and embrace them.
That's a nice one.
That's my one.
Yeah.
I'd say don't be afraid to use floats or armbands or woggles or
Love
noodles.
woggles.
Some people call them. You call them woggles.
I call them woggles. Tom calls them pool noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pool
noodles,
noodle,
yeah.
Yeah.
woggle. Use the floats, i.e. your friends, support networks, before you dive into the deep end.
That was deep.
I feel like I would say, kind of just to, again, what I mentioned earlier about knowledge and passion, and just like remember why you're doing something and why you're so passionate about it. And then the knowledge piece is just, what more can you do to learn about it, and actually that can make you feel so much more confident.
Yeah.
And you know, the learning to swim aspect of university is difficult, the transition is difficult, and just remembering, you know, why you chose to do what you did, and you know, have that passion behind it, and that really shines through.
Love that.
I'd say definitely take it one day at a time, one swim at a time. Sometimes it's gonna, you feel like you can do 100 laps and it's really great. And then, the next day it's like, oh, actually, I can't even swim for 2 seconds without,
Gasping
losing
for air.
literally.
Where's the ladder?
So it is like a journey, and like we said, there's like peaks and troughs. So you just take it one day at a time, and you'll get there at the end. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That was a good end. I like that.
Thank you so much for giving us that metaphor.
Yeah.
I'm going to be thinking about that one.
You know what I've been thinking about since you said it? Do you remember the Frosties badges you get for completing every level at swimming?
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
I feel like,
remember.
was that like the Mandela
We got
effect?
certificates.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like dolphin and
Yeah.
whale or something.
Maybe I wasn't good enough at swimming for this.
The Frosties tiger was on all the badges.
I do remember the Frosties tiger. Is he still on the boxes?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Corey's
so-
nodding. Yeah, he's still on the boxes, guys.
I
That was
love that.
amazing.
That was
Thank
good.
you both so much. I also can't believe how quickly that went.
I know.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
guys.
honestly, for sharing your experiences and your wisdom, of which you both had much. I've been taking notes.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. And that's all from us.
Yeah. See ya later. See you when? I don't know. See ya.
Bye.
Yay.
Well done, guys.